7. May. Dearest Suzie, I hope you are feeling better by now. I guess that flu was what caused your headaches, huh? Did you go to the doctors to find out what was causing them? Things are beginning to move over here again. The VC are causing quite a bit of trouble in our area. We are nearing the rainy season now, and that is the time that the VC like best. They can get around better. We got called out yesterday to help an outpost that was under attack. I was busy giving a check ride, so I didn't go. The platoon was out till 8 o'clock last night and got 6 ships shot up. Nobody got hurt, though. We are just on standby today. So far, nothing has come up. It is 3:30 in the afternoon now. I'm just sitting here listening to Country Corner on AFN. Oh yes, congratulations, Graceful, on getting bleach in your eye. What did you do for an encore? How about conking your nose on the trunk of the car for an encore? Sometimes you amaze me. Well, I love you all very much. I miss you and can't wait to get home to you. Kiss the boys for me, and I will add more to the list of kisses I'm keeping for you. All my love. Bill. The following is the next part of a piece I wrote titled Fish, Pharmaceuticals, and Phil. I won't give much context. I hope you can figure it out on your own. I'll continue to provide parts during this month when there are days which have less to talk about. As with everything else in this project, this is deeply personal and meaningful to me. I hope you enjoy. 13 years ago, Jessica had a kid with someone who was basically a stranger. This started a pattern, and 4 children later, she had finally dug herself into a deep hole enough that Mary, Tim, Lisa, and the rest of their family had no choice but to step in and try to help. They had been delicate with her up until this point, celebrating the births of the new family members and casually suggesting that she get her tubes tied or at the very minimum settle down with one of the fathers to her kids. It was hard for her to maintain any level of stability when she and the kids' dads were heavy drug users and frequently in and out of jail after getting caught with meth or calling the cops on each other for domestic abuse. Clearly the kids had been suffering, but they lived with her mother, Lisa's sister-in-law, Katie, their whole lives. She was described to me plainly as one crazy bitch. Unfortunately, Tim and Lisa had tried to step in years before and adopt the kids when they were first born, but allegedly, Katie testified to the local family courts that Mary, Tim, and Lisa were all abusive alcoholics. The judge believed her, so Jessica and her kids disappeared from everyone's lives, placed in Katie's care. They would disappear until Jessica had another kid and invited everyone into her life again to see the babies, acting like everything was normal. It was a long, painful, and unhealthy cycle. Things had been relatively stable until 2019 when Katie died, which was initially relief to Tim and Lisa, and the kids were placed in Jessica's care full-time. 3 kids and no job ended up being somewhat unmanageable for her, but she did have a guy she was living with who was the father of kid 3 and allegedly the father of kid 4, who she was pregnant with at the time. In February of 2020, she went into labor 3 months premature and went to downtown Orlando to give birth to a child that came out addicted to meth. She called her aunt and uncle, inviting them to see her and asking them to take her 2 oldest kids temporarily while she was in and out of the hospital. Knowing the situation, Tim and Lisa were hesitant but willing to oblige for the good of the children. Let's just say that things got messy when the lockdowns began a month later. It took Jessica many days to give birth to kid 4, and due to the circumstances of the birth, there was a long road to recovery ahead of the baby if it had any chance of survival. She by no means would be able to take care of the 2 oldest. It was out of the question. The pandemic, daily trips to see the baby, and total lack of income made it impossible for her to even consider asking for her kids back. Eventually, Tim and Lisa enrolled them in a school nearby and did their best to raise 2 kids they barely knew during a once-in-a-lifetime global pandemic. Let's just say it was tough, Lisa once told me. The biggest problem they faced with the kids was the instability of the situation. They barely had enough to get by during the lockdowns as it was, and Tim was constantly afraid that something would happen which would totally halt his company's ability to work. Thankfully, it hadn't. Also, Jessica's violent and drug-addled past made them nervous. We kept thinking that she'd come around our house one day, tweaked up and asking for her kids back, Tim told me. One day, Jessica got in a fight with her boyfriend and called the cops on him. They arrested him on site without questions. Because of the disturbance, the local county sheriff conducted a welfare check on Tim and Lisa, even though they were counties away. They didn't really like having the cops knocking on their door randomly. Things went well with the police, but it really helped encapsulate the seriousness of the situation. They knew something more long-term had to be done for their protection and for the betterment of the children. I knew them at this point, and to help, I got them in contact with a state congressperson I used to work for. It didn't seem like much and felt wrong intervening in their lives, but there were kids involved. They needed what was best. The congressperson put them in contact with a nonprofit that works directly with the Department of Children and Family, DCF, as well as Child Protective Services, CPS, cases. The children were eventually taken by a nonprofit and entered the foster system. It was painful for Tim and Lisa, but they explained their reasoning clearly to me. The kids needed more than we could provide. We could barely afford them, and though the state will give money to foster parents, they wouldn't give us anything because we were related. Plus, we were afraid for our own safety with Jessica in the picture. As long as she was around, we didn't want to be looking over our shoulders all the time, Lisa told me. Not to mention, Tim elaborated, we tried to get them years ago and the judge wouldn't give them to us. The way I see it, the state broke them, they have to fix them. Kid 1 had some anger management and developmental issues and stayed in the foster home for a night until the family kindly asked that he go somewhere else. It only took him threatening the life out of the foster father once for the family to realize the arrangement probably wouldn't work out. The caseworker took him to a group home meant for kids like him. Kid 2 stayed with that foster family, which was generally spoken about like a good thing, except for the fact that the family was black, which, Mary admitted, bothered her, explaining that it must just be her age that made her weird about it, and that they wouldn't let her read Harry Potter, her favorite book series. Their pastor said it was demonic. Well, if she's not getting abused, that's good, right? I said to the family. Yeah, basically, replied Tim. The youngest 2 were shopped around to different members of their father's family, who they stayed with for a time, until finally Kid 3 went to live with Kid 2, and Kid 4 went to a young couple who wanted a baby but couldn't conceive. Everyone says Kid 4 is the luckiest of them all. If you like that, please stay tuned this month for the next few parts of Fish, Pharmaceuticals, and Phil. The photo I chose for today seems to depict a road leading into a town or a settlement of some sort. The road is paved. On either side are power or communication lines. On the side of the road is a group of huts or houses which appear to be made of wood or reed. In the distance is a mountain. I'm Alex Lowy, and I hope you have enjoyed listening to this episode of Dearest Suzie, and receiving messages from the past that my Popi wrote exactly 60 years ago. I sincerely appreciate your time and interest. Please consider following the podcast on your preferred platform, and if you're enjoying it, I kindly ask that you take the time to rate the show and leave a review. Also, please follow the project on YouTube, X, and Instagram. All likes, comments, shares, and reviews will help grow the reach of this story. The links for these things should be in the description of this episode. Please feel free to email me at dearestsuziepodcast@gmail.com if you have anything you'd like to say. I'd love to chat or to hear about your stories as well. Thank you for listening, and God bless.